Today, students, we are doing chapter 1.2 from Kumar Bharati textbook for Standard 9. A synopsis. Swiss Family Robinson. This lesson is a synopsis, which means that it is a summary of the novel written 200 years ago. For the audiobook of this story, click on the link in the description box below. So come along then. Let's read and enjoy this lesson. Students, do solve the warm up exercise. And to check your answers, you can visit our website at www.jkacademypro.com. You'll get the link in the description box below. A synopsis. The Swiss Family Robinson. Synopsis means a summary. So it's a summary of a novel, and the name of the novel is The Swiss Family Robinson. Now, Swiss means someone from Switzerland, and it was the Robinson family. That is, their surname was Robinson, and in this family, there were the parents, the mother and the father, and the four sons. So, The Swiss Family Robinson is a well known adventure novel. Now, what do you mean by adventure? It is an experience or event that is very unusual, exciting, or dangerous. So, this is a well known adventure novel that many people of many countries, have enjoyed for more than 200 years. So, the story or the we never It has also been made into graphic novels and films. That is, the story has been made into graphic novels. Now, what are graphic? Illustrations. That is, drawings, like comic books and all that. So, the story has been illustrated very, very well, and it has also made into many films. The novel, written by the Swiss clergyman Johann David Wyss. Now, clergyman means a Christian priest is called a clergyman. So, it was written by Johann David Wyss. Is not just an adventure. It aims at teaching young people values like self reliance. Now, what do you mean by self reliance? It means self dependence, trusting oneself to be able to do anything on your own. Then it also portrays determination. Determination means you have that power, you want to do something and you pursue that whether anything happens, so you go, and it is like a aim in your life, a goal in your life, and you want to achieve it. So it teaches determination, love for your family, cooperation, and prudent use of resources. Now, prudent means careful and sensible use of resources. So, whatever you have, you use it carefully, you use it sensibly, you use it in the best manner. It also has good lessons relevant in natural sciences. So, natural sciences is a branch of science which deals with the physical world. So, with the nature. So, how you deal with nature. So, that is also you learn lessons from this very book. Good husbandry. Husbandry means farming and looking after crops. And even mathematics. So, all these things are taught in this lesson through the story. Some elements of the novel do stretch reality to a certain extent. Now, elements means components or parts. So, certain things in the story of the novel do stretch reality. Stretch reality means to go beyond something that is not real, so they have shown certain things that it is very hard to believe that something like that can even happen in real life. So it is very hard to believe. So certain things we find that no, it cannot be possible in real life. But we must consider that it is a work of fiction and not a fact file. So, fiction means imaginary or unrealistic. Somebody has imagined something, somebody has imagined the story and written, and it's not a fact file. Fact means when you write exactly whatever happens or whatever is there. So, that is called a fact file. Given below is a synopsis, an outline of its basic story. So, this whole story that we are going to read today, the lesson is based on just a summary of the actual novel. William, Elizabeth, and their children had been traveling in a ship when the ship was caught in a great storm. So now the story begins with Ele- William and Elizabeth. So these are the parents and their children. So they were four boys. They had been traveling in a ship when the ship was caught in a storm. So in those days, people used to travel by ships only. So it was caught in a storm, and what happened is the other passengers evacuated without them. So evacuated means they left. So it was, this family was asleep, and so in that hurry scurry, when there is a storm in the ship, everybody is in a hurry, everybody is doing so much of work. So in that hurry scurry, they forgot about this family, and this family was left behind in the ship. So they were evacuated, with the other passengers evacuated, that is, left without them. Now, William and his family, including the young children, Fritz, Ernest, Jack, and Franz. So these were the four boys, along with the parents, were left to survive alone. So they had to survive, they had to continue to their existence, okay, continue their living conditions. So they had to live alone. They weathered the great storm waiting in the ship's hold. So, weathered means it was, they were trying to protect themselves. So, they were trying to save themselves. So, they weathered the great storm waiting in the ship's hold. So, ship's hold is the lower part of the ship. Okay, so ship is very very used, and there are many many floors to it. So it, you can say, sort of a basement of a house. So how there is a basement, so in the same way, ship's hold is like the basement. The ship survived the night, and the family found themselves within sight of a tropical desert island. Now, what happened is, throughout the night, they were really very scared. So, they sat in the ship's hold. But when the night went by, they the ship was safe and sound. So the ship survived. So ship was safe and sound. And when they woke up, when they saw when they came out of the ship and they saw what is where they have landed, so they found themselves on a tropical desert island. Tropical is a place which is hot and humid. You'll have learnt in geography, isn't it? And desert is, here it means alone or separated. So it was a deserted island, that is, there was nobody on the island, no people, nobody living over there. So at such a place, the ship was, came and stopped. So they had to get down from the ship over there. The next morning, they decided to get to the island they could see beyond the reef. So they waited till the whole night, and in the next morning, they said, "Now we'll have to get out of that island." So they could, ship can't come right at the edge of the water, no, at the land. So it was little far away, so they could see an island, okay, from where they were. So they said that we have to get down at the island and to see beyond a reef. Now, reef is a line of rocks or sand near the surface of the sea. Okay, so there are lots of rocks, near, sometimes we see near the sea. With much effort, they constructed a vessel out of tubs. Now, they had a lot of tubs with them in the ship. So, what they did is they had to put a lot of effort because they did not have all the things of construction. So, these tubs are very, very huge. Okay, they are not very small tubs. So, they are huge tubs. So, what they did is they filled many tubs like that. So, they joined the tubs and they filled the tubs with food and ammunition. Ammunition means they are the objects, that is bullets, shells, and all that, which you require for your weapons. So they took ammunition also because they thought that it could be dangerous living in that island. And all other articles of value they could safely carry. So whatever they could carry, they thought that they may need it. They did not take anything and everything. Okay, it was not possible. So they planned it out very very properly, and they took only those things which they thought that they could carry it safely, as well as they would need it. So any articles of value. they rowed towards the island. Okay, so they started rowing. Okay, so these tubs acted like small boats for them. So they rowed towards the island. Two dogs from the ship named Turk and Juno swam beside them. So along with them there were two dogs also. They are dogs, and they could not be accommodated in the tub because dogs are very good swimmers. So these two dogs started swimming beside them as they were rowing these tubs which acted like boats for them. The ship's cargo of livestock, guns, and powder, carpentry tools, books, a disassembled pinnacle, and provisions had also survived. So in the ship, what all things had survived is was able to live, that is did not perish, did not die, was the livestock. Now what do you mean by livestock? There were other animals also like chickens and hens and all that. So those livestock survived, as well as what else survived? Guns and gunpowder, because in those days they were bullets were very few. They sometimes used gunpowder. Then carpentry tools. Tools are things that you require when you make furniture or anything to construct. Then books were also saved, as well as disassembled pinnacle. Now pinnacle is a small boat, so these small boats also survived. So no doubt they were not in the proper condition, they were disassembled. And provisions had also survived. So provisions are maybe your for your kitchen that you require to cook food. So rice and wheat and other things that is required, that was in the ship. So all those things survived the storm. Over the next few days, William, that is the father, attached the floatable old kegs to one another and built a bow that curved around them. So what he did is, after a few days, now he put this thing no to construct. These were huge tubs, so it took a very long time for them to construct. Overnight they couldn't do this. So within a next few days, what he did is he started improvising on that boats that they had made, the tubs that they had made. So what he did is floatable. So the float means those that can float in the water. So he took floatable kegs, old kegs. Kegs are those big barrels which are made of wood. Okay, barrels are like big drums. So he took this floatable old kegs to one another. He attached them and built a bow that curved around them. So like a curve he made it. Okay, and then the family had landed successfully on the island. So, this way, they were able to row with many of the things which were useful to them, and they landed successfully on the island. So, they reached the island safe and sound. They set up a tent and softened the floor with armloads of grass. So they built a tent. Now they have to live now over there. So they made built a tent over there, and the floor was like not able to sleep on the floor. No, there may be sand, there may rocks, stones, and all that. So to make it soft, okay, what they did is they started cutting grass. So armloads means full armful of grass they cut and spread, and which became their bed to sleep. They came to a grove of trees. So, grove means a group of trees, a huge group of trees. And one tree grew what looked like gods on its trunk. Okay. So, one of the tree, it looked like as if they were gods. Now, what is this gods? Look at the spelling. Okay. So, this is GOURDS. So, they are, it's a kind of a vegetable. So, if you look at the picture alongside that is given, so you may, they are like our pumpkins and all that, from the pumpkin family. So they found that they were big gods on its trunk. The father told Fritz the gods would make excellent bowls and spoons, and they cut them into various utensils. So father was very, very, very intelligent, and he was, he could, judge things, he could make use of things with different items that he saw. So when, as soon as he saw these vegetable, the gods, he said, yes, we can make bowls, because everything they couldn't bring from the ship, na? Certain things only they brought, only that which is required. So they could not bring bowls and spoons. So he said, yes, we can make bowls and spoons out of this, and we can make different types of utensils also from this vegetable. After some days, Elizabeth informed William that she wanted the family to move to a safer place. Now, they were staying in this tent, okay, for quite some time. Now, but after some days, Elizabeth, that is the mother of the children, okay, so informed William is the father, that she wanted the family to move to a safer place. So she said that this place is not very safe. I'm not very comfortable with this. So we should now move to another place. Their current camp was not only exposed but also very dry and hot. So, what she felt is the current camp means the place where they were living. Okay, the current one means the present one was only exposed, not only exposed. No, exposed means it was, open for danger. So it was not only exposed but also very dry and hot. So she felt very hot. It was very dry, hardly any, it was not water there. If they built a house up in one of the large trees, they would be safe from jackals. So there is to be a lot of other animals that their family had danger to. So all these jackals and other animals would come streaming into the tent. So she said, no, if we build a house on a big tree, maybe we will be able to be safe from these animals, and especially from jackals. She described a perfect tree for the project, one whose trunk was nearly 40 feet in diameter. So you can imagine, big tree, big, huge trees. Okay, these trees are we can hardly find them nowadays. But in the olden days, they used to have such big, huge trees, and which they used to make use of for various purposes. They used to even make sailboats and all that out of these huge trees. But nowadays, we hardly find it, because we have done so much of deforestation. We have cut down these trees. But now, in this story here, what happens is the mother has gone around maybe, and she has spotted a big tree where she thought that they could make a house on it, and they could start living safely over there. And how big was the tree? So the tree was 40 feet in diameter, and the branches were very long and extended straight out from the trunk. Extended means stretched out. Okay, so they stretched out from the trunk, so it was a perfect place to make a house, making them perfect platforms for a structure. Structure means anything that you build. So you require the base. So to make the base, the platform, the branches were very nice and flat and spread out. So the mother thought that we could make a nice and safe house on this tree. Later, when determining the height of the lowest branch, the father taught the boys geometry and how to use triangles to measure big objects. That is when now they started constructing the house. So they had to do a lot of measurements, isn't it? So he had to find out how high was the lowest branch. So when doing that, he taught the boys, because the boys were also helping him to construct, no, because all alone he can't do. So the boys were helping him, and while they were doing constructing the house, he taught the boys how to measure triangles, how to measure other things, how to calculate. So all these things he taught them. So along with the practical aspect, their lesson, their school studies was also going on. That is, they were learning many things about geometry and calculations. He measured a defined distance from the trunk. Then he calculated angles using several measured rods. So this is how he went on calculating, because they did not have all the instruments so to measure. So he would take the rods, and then he would measure the angles, and with the help of that, he would calculate other things. So that is how he started teaching the boys also, determining that the lowest branch was 30 feet off the ground. So that helped them to find out how high the lowest branch was. So, how high was it? It was 30 feet off the ground. To check your answers to the English workshop as well as the other questions that are given within the lesson, you can visit our website at www.jkacademypro.com. You'll get the link in the description box below. Do remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye.